Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel GMB Today. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Mark Labbett, also known as the Beast, is the chaser on ITV's The Chase and its spin-off Beat the Chasers. And recently, his co-star Dara Ennis has shared a behind-the-scenes secret. Mark Labbett's co-stars often have to stop him from doing one thing on Beat the Chasers due to his big, massive ego, a fellow chaser has claimed. Known as the Menace on the popular ITV show, Darva spilled the beans during an appearance on the Dempsey's Dozen podcast, revealing that Mark, also known as the Beast, gets genuinely mad when he's bested. Mark and Dara share the title of chaser with Sean Wallace, the Dark Destroyer, Anne Hegarty, the Governess, Paul Sinha, the Sinner Man, and Jenny Ryan, the Vixen. During the conversation, the host brought up a moment from the chase where Mark ran out of time, leaving several questions unanswered. He said this incident left him beat off, and that he even actually walked off, highlighting just how seriously the chaser takes the game. Dara agreed that they do take it seriously, and that Mark was the worst loser in the world, although he claimed that the chaser wouldn't mind him saying as much, adding that he genuinely hates it and is not an act. He explained, he might pantomime it up a little, but he's genuinely mad, really angry, a sore loser who kicks off, and then 5 minutes later, he's fine. You know, he does not like losing. He is ultra competitive. When we're doing Beat the Chasers, we have to keep telling him, Mark, stop buzzing in so early. Because if he hasn't answered a question in a while, he wants to get in there because he's got this big, massive ego and he wants to impress. In 2024, a contestant alleged that Mark was so incensed by a loss that he punched the ITV set. Ballet dancer Wayne Sleep faced off against the Beast in 2018, alongside Emmerdale's Dominic Brunt, Good Morning Britain's Charlotte Hawkins, and comedian Ricky Tomlinson. Chatting with the Daily Star, Wayne expressed his desire to return to the show, revealing that Mark was fuming after his defeat and punched the scenery as he left. He recounted, I said to Bradley, is he always like that? And he said, he's furious because he's been beaten by a ballet boy. He didn't speak to us much afterwards either. Meanwhile, Wayne added that if he had the opportunity to appear on the quiz show again, he would like to take on Anne, so let's make it happen. In another incident, Mark Labbett recently walked off Beat the Chasers Sunday, August 31st, after losing £100,000 to lucky contestant Gavin, quipping, I'll get my coat. He criticized the other offers as stingy before telling the contestant they would slash their time to 40 seconds and invited him to vie for the hefty sum. In the end, Gavin clinched victory with just 4 seconds to spare. Host Bradley Walsh quipped, Beastie, you'd best leave now. Mark responded, firstly, well played, sir. Secondly, I'll get my coat. With that, the Beast made his exit. The chase had always thrived on a fine balance between wit, tension, and camaraderie. For years, Mark Labbett, the Beast, had commanded the studio floor with his towering presence, quick-fire intellect, and his signature growl that made contestants tremble. But behind the scenes, things had begun to shift, and whispers spread that Mark's confidence was edging into something else entirely: ego. It all began during a particularly tense filming day. A contestant had just scraped through to the final chase with a mere £4,000 in the prize fund. Mark smirked as he leaned across the desk. $4,000? That's not even worth my time, he quipped. The audience chuckled nervously, but his co-stars weren't laughing. Anne Hegarty, ever the composed, the governess, exchanged a sharp glance with Sean Wallace. Jenny Ryan folded her arms tightly, while Paul Sinha shook his head with a sigh. Mark, let them play. That's the whole point of the game, Bradley Walsh warned lightly, trying to diffuse the moment with a joke. But Mark doubled down. I'm just saying, you want to beat the Beast? Bring me a worthy challenge. Otherwise, it's just a snack. The contestant's face fell. The tension in the studio was thicker than ever. When filming wrapped, the chasers gathered in their green room where an uncharacteristically serious conversation took place. Mark, this has got to stop, Anne said firmly, folding her glasses onto the table. You're intimidating contestants before the game even starts. That's not the spirit of the show. Sean chimed in, his voice low but steady. You've always been larger than life, but lately it feels like you're playing for yourself, not the team. Mark frowned, clearly caught off guard. He had built his identity as the Beast on being feared, respected, and a little outrageous, but he could see this wasn't playful banter anymore. It was intervention. Jenny leaned forward, her voice calm but pointed. You're brilliant, Mark. Nobody doubts that. But the show isn't just about you winning. It's about the journey, the tension, the contestants having a fair go. Your ego is starting to overshadow the fun. Even Paul, usually one to soften words with humor, added that if this carries on, you'll lose the audience. Worse, you'll lose us. For the first time in years, the Beast was silent. His co-stars weren't mocking him or playing up for the cameras. They were serious. It wasn't a rivalry anymore. It was concern. Finally, Ann delivered the stop order. "Dial it back, Mark. We love the Beast, but we don't want to lose Mark." The words landed harder than any defeat on the show. Mark stared down at his hands, his bravado cracking just a little. He let out a breath and finally nodded. "All right, message received. The Beast will roar, but he won't bite quite so hard." The next episode, Mark walked onto the stage with his usual swagger, but something was different. He still growled, still loomed, but when the contestant faced him nervously, he smiled and said, "Good luck. You'll need it, but I hope you give me a run for my money." Bradley caught Ann's eye and grinned. The Beast was back, not bigger, but better.